Hey, yo, what's up? Welcome back, Baiters, to another episode of the Bate Escape. I am your boy, Beastly Baiter. What's going on? We're back. Another week. Another dollar. Well, not yet. I'm still waiting for that direct deposit to hit at the end of this week. But still living to do my best. How has everyone's week been? I hope it's been splendid and amazing and bait-tastic. I just created that word. Fantastic. Feel free to use it anywhere you want. It's pretty amazing. I just thought of that on the spot. My week has been good. It's been productive. It's been me getting a lot of stuff done. It's me reading. Yeah. I finally committed to reading these wonderful, beautiful books that I have. And the book that I'm currently reading is called The Joy of Self Pleasuring by, I believe, Edward L. Ronan, MD. And it says on the cover here, why feel guilty about feeling good? I don't feel guilty at all. Not at all. Although sometimes I feel really weird when I do poppers. I don't know. Let me know if you guys experience this, but like I get it, like poppers is supposed to like maybe I don't get it. Are poppers supposed to like lower it's supposed to be lower your blood pressure, right? But then I feel well it's going to your brain, so I would think that your heart beats really fast. But do you ever get like weird, mild, heightened anxiety when you guys do poppers, or is that just me? Like I'll do poppers and then I'll just think of some random weird shit that I might have said like 3 days before, and then I'll go back to my porn. Please let me know I'm not the only one. It can't be alone in this. Seriously. I need to know if anyone else is experiencing this kind of crazy intense feeling. Um, oh, I just got a text. Oh, that's really pretty. You guys, okay, I got a text from, well, we should call him something. Uh, I don't know. Bait Bro, Bait Bro Z. That's a good one. Um, yeah, we like kind of went on a date on Friday. I think it was a date. I don't know. He was just like, because we had hooked up already, but then he was like, oh, I just wanted to take you out so I knew what you were like in like public. I don't know, that was weird. I think it was more to do with him. Like he was just like, oh, like who is this person? Like I need to see him in a social setting. And to be honest, you can tell a lot from a person by being in a social setting. It's pretty spectacular. Maybe that's just me because I'm hyper aware of shit, but it's different from when you go to someone's. It's different from when you go to a bro's place and like bait, and that's like your first interaction because you're already familiar. You're already familiar with what's happening. It's quite another when you invite them to like grab a beer or like fish and chips or some bullshit because then you're just like talking, right? And you're like trying to like hold a conversation. You're just like, wait, this isn't really working out for me. But you know what? Having said that, I've had interactions with baiters where we work amazing like in the bedroom, but outside of it, there's like nothing. And that's totally normal. Don't make the mistake of what I did was like I try to fit them into being this thing that I wanted them to be. Like I wanted them to be like the whole package. So I was like, because in my mind I was like, bro, like we work so good here. Like why can't we work everywhere else? And I try to like fit him into this thing that I thought could be this really cool person, and it completely backfired on me. So don't do that. Take my advice. Like you just have to kind of greet people where they are. Like when you meet them in life and what they present to you at that exact moment is exactly who they are. And believe them when they tell you shit about them. Like, who did I learn that shit from? I feel like I learned that shit from Oprah. Like, when people tell you who they say they are, believe them. Like, that's the truth that they're speaking. Whether or not it's a lie, you'll never know. But if it's coming from their mouth, then that's on them. Like you can always go back and be like, bro, like you said that shit. Like even if it was a lie, it came out of your fucking mouth. So yeah, deal with that. But yeah, the date was good going back. He just sent me this cool text of him Not sure where he is. It's like a lake, and there's like ducks. There's like grass and stuff. Looks really nice. I feel like I need a vacation, you guys. Oh my god. You know what I really need though? I've never been to like a vacation. Yeah, and vacation to me is like beach, clear waters, Corona, and a margarita, and like straight chilling. Like no phone, no emails, no text. Like I want to be completely off the radar. Like I don't know, some fucking private island or some shit. Like Fiji. Is Fiji a private island? I don't even know, but it sounds amazing. The water tastes great. The place must be great too. Oh my god. Other than that, it's been a really cool weekend. What did I do this weekend? I took some portraits of myself that I shot, and I don't know if I really like them or not. I'm always weird about them. Like anytime I see them in the camera, I feel like they'll be okay, and then I get them on the computer, and I'm just like, and I have to sit on it for a couple of days because then I don't like the way I look, or I find all these things wrong with it rather than just accepting the art for what it is. I don't know. I'll probably get back to it soon and post some of that stuff up. Just trying to be creative and use it. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah. Truth can be said about your dick. I mean, honestly, if you're not beating your dick, what are you doing with it? Seriously. I mean, come on. It's what it's there for, man. Like, don't get hung up on bullshit that you used to hear. That's something that I will talk about on my newest article on the Beater blog. That's where that was going. I know I hesitate a little bit, but that's where it was going. So yeah, I wrote a new piece. I submitted it today, so should be live Wednesday, unless they push it back. But you know, I'm your boy, so I'm gonna for sure tell you when that's available, so you guys can read it. I'm really proud of this one too. Um, I love writing for these I love writing these articles for you guys. It really taps into my creativity, and it doesn't. I very much look forward to like writing it and getting your feedback. And I love when you guys comment. And you know what else I love equally, even more so? Yeah, it's when you guys interact with me on social media. I'm there. I'm there. Right? Twitter, Insta, Nutumba, Nutumblr, Nutumble, Nutumble. I don't know. It's one of those. Bait World, obviously. Oh, speaking of, so I was chatting, not chatting, well, yeah, chatting and snapping with this 24-year-old kid from like San Francisco. Um, and he was like, yeah, you know, I follow your social and I think you're really sexy. And like, this is my first time kind of like snapping, you know, like my bait. And I just want to show you because I'm really proud of it. And I thought that was like the sweetest thing. Like, I never thought there would come a day when I could be like someone that people look up to. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, and he was just like, yeah, like, you know, you're just so good at it, and kind of like a baiter's daddy. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'll take that. That's cool. Um, yeah, and I told him like I was so proud of him. I was like, yeah, like I'm so happy that you're like, you know, discovering baiting. If it resonates with you, then yeah, follow my stuff and like whatever advice I can have. And that goes to anyone. Like, if you guys want to reach out and just ask me questions about stuff, like feel free to do that too. Like I'm available. You know, I might not always get to it right away, but I will for sure try my best to get to it because I really do love the interaction. And I've gotten so much feedback. Let me tell you, by the way, from last week's episode when I was talking about straightened by baiters. Yeah, guess what? A lot of getting by baiters hit me up. It was just like, yeah, like that's true. Like what you said in that episode was completely true. Like that's it's pretty amazing that you're able to get us. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like just today I was talking to this gentleman that shall remain nameless because that's how he would like it, and I respect you, brothers. On Snapchat, and he like started disclosing to me that he was like married. He's a straight guy, but he really enjoys like masturbation and like mating, baiting with other men. And I was just so fascinated. And I was like asking him all these questions. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was he said that he really enjoys baiting with queer men because queer men are more accepting of his body. Like he sent me some pictures, and he's like a he's like a chubby bear, like a hairy chubby guy. Totally fine, nothing wrong with that. But he was saying like, yeah, like when I the idea or when I've been masturbating with queer men and they've accepted my body, which then in turns like builds my self confidence, and then I'm able to like be more confident for like my wife. Yeah, my mind's exploding too. Isn't that fascinating? I never thought of that. Never once did I think of that. You know why I didn't really think of that? Because I don't typically associate gay men as being body accepting. And I know that's fucked up to say, but like it's true. Like the gay queer community really does focus on like the external physical. So like that's why it was like shocking to hear him say that like queer man like accepted his body, because he's not the typical body type that most gay men are attracted to. Um, so yeah, that's I thought it was fascinating. I was like, holy shit, like wow, like gay men are like out here saving lives, like changing people's lives, changing straight men's lives. I was like, man, the things we do, we're a pretty resilient bunch. Um, yeah, I just thought that was really fascinating. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, And we were talking about like, why do you like dating with like men? Like, what? Oh, and then we started getting to like, what would you and what would you not do? Like, those were like, I was like, what are you like? What do you go into negotiations? Like, what's your tactic? And he's just like, no, like it's pretty much said like, hey, like I'm willing not to do these things, and like he has no desire to have like sex or relationship with a man, like, but he's like he loves, and I referenced my last episode, and if you guys haven't listened to it, you guys should really check it out. It gives you context. He was just like, yeah, I just love like the masculinity and the camaraderie of being naked around real men. Like he enjoyed everything about being man, like his body hair and like his beard and like his feet and like his penis and his hairy butt. Like he liked these really hyper masculine things, and he felt like when he did that in the presence of other men, it just amplified that energy, which is a really cool way to think about it. Which is really cool because, like, lately I've been getting off on this one porn, and it's vintage. I don't know what year it was. I think and it looks 80s, so it could have been like in the early 80s or late 80s. And it's like an orgy of like men, like in a home, like some suburban like cul-de-sac house. It's like 20 men like naked, just like messing around with each other, and it's really great. So I get it. So like when he was describing why he really enjoyed dating with other men, like he was explaining this masculine energy, and I was like, yeah, I totally get that shit. I'm totally vibing on that stuff. I do love that type of porn though, like when it's like it has to be more than 15 people though, for me to have it be like an actual orgy. I don't know, like I feel like the more the merrier, like when there's like so much bodies, like you don't know where one body ends and when where one body starts. That's cool to me. That's very sexy. um oh, so today's topic, it's a great little segue to get into here. I wanted to talk about um like male sexual awakenings and like the catalyst for that awakening. The reason why I bring this up is because I was out on Saturday night, drinking really close by to a friend's apartment, and we were like outside. We're having like these really cool cocktails, and we were vibing and chilling. He had the TV on, and on the TV was this like special on the actor Keanu Reeves. If you guys don't know who Keanu Reeves is, or who if you're not familiar with him, he's from those Matrix movies, and just recently he's starred in the John Wick. He's John Wick. Anyway, he's sexy as fuck. But they were going back in his history, like his filmography, and they're like, oh, these are all the films that he appeared in, and then Speed showed up, and I fucking damn near lost my mind. I was like, that's it, like that's the movie. That really it was Keanu Reeves in the movie Speed, co-starring Sandra Bullock. That was the first time in my life made my dick jump when I saw that man. And at that time, what was I doing? It's so vague now, but I remember like I grew up going to church a lot. Like I was just really heavily involved because my family was, and like the young kids would like go and like camp at someone's home. Like it was like this thing, right? Like a family would host like 4 to 5 um teenagers, and then you'd go and do like Bible shit. I don't know what the fuck, but um we were watching the movie Speed had come around that time, and like I remember someone was just like, oh, like let's, it's late night, let's watch a late night movie, let's watch Speed, and everyone was like, yeah, Speed. And I remember like chilling, vibing, whatever, and like as the movie slowly began to like proceed, like I just was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Like, do yourself a favor right now. Like, Google Keanu Reeves Speed. I don't know what year it came out in. Hold on, let me look at my computer. You're gonna hear a bunch of tapping, but it's because I'm doing research. Um, and I really want to get this right. 1994. Okay, yeah. So 1994. Keanu Reeves. Do yourself a favor. I'm looking at images right now. He's so good looking. He's got that buzz cut haircut. He's like holding a gun. He's wearing flannels in a fucking like cop vest. 'Cause he's a cop, right? Okay, so you shown the premise of the movie. I believe he plays a cop, and like, yeah, he plays a cop, and like someone hijacked this bus, and like Sandra Bullock is like this woman that happens to be riding the bus, and like it gets hijacked, and they have to keep at a certain speed. That's why the title Speed. So like the bus has to keep moving at over like I think 60 or 70 miles per hour, or else the entire bus explodes. So they're literally like driving like crazy assholes like through whatever city they're in. It's crazy. It's a cheesy movie, but Keanu was that guy for me. And then I started thinking, I was like, I'm so curious to like understand like the sexual awakening for other baiters. Because I say baiters because I remember like looking at this guy, and I had like a context and a reference for sex. Like I'd seen like porno, like friends brought like pornos to school and stuff, and I remember seeing this stuff, and I could reference, I knew what sex was at that point. But maybe I never had like, it was all straight though, so I didn't have a reference for gay sex. But I remember like looking at this guy and like thinking, oh, I want to be his best friend, because I thought he was just so cool. I was like, oh, I'd really like to like get to know him. And then like I started doing more research on him, and like I started watching more of his films, and like started just like exploring a little bit, and then it just kind of evolved into this like, oh, like what if we were friends and did this? Yeah, like what if we were friends and he let me do this to him? And it became like this like sexual mind game with me, but it never once turned into penetrative sex. I remember that very distinctly. Like I never fantasized about him fucking me or me fucking him. Um so I don't know. I don't know if that was normal, or well, what is normal? I mean, you know what? I'm gonna like excommunicate like the word normal from my vocabulary, because it just never applies to anything I talk about. So is that the usual, or like did other people have different experiences? Like I'm really curious to know like what you guys' sexual awakening was. Particularly straight men. That would be an extremely cool conversation to have, because I want to know what that journey is like for straight men. Like I want to know if it's the same or completely different. Like there has to have been a point in all our lives, all men's lives, regardless of sexual orientation, in which you saw a man and were completely fascinated by him. And it doesn't have to be in any sexual capacity, because to me it wasn't for me. Like like so like mm, I'm curious to know what that would be like for straight men. And I've had conversations with men that for them that person was like their own father. Yeah. um and it can get very deep. I've had conversations that have gone that far, and I've found it extremely fascinating. I've gotten men who have said that they were sexually aroused by their brother, by their cousin, an uncle. Like, I get it. Like, incest is a really huge like fantasy for a lot of men, but it's always fascinating to me when it's not like an incest fetish, like when it's like this authentic attraction um, to a member of your family. God, and I remember having a conversation with someone, and he was just like, "Yeah, like I remember seeing my dad. Like I feel like I want to say they were like camping. I don't know. I could be mistaken, but I can remember him telling me like, yeah, like I remember seeing like my dad naked and like wanting to be like him. Like he just really enjoyed the masculinity of who his father was. And I think a lot of little boys do that. I mean, I think it's normal too. I mean, listen, like your father's kind of like the first person in your life to get like an authentic love from you. Like he's the first man in your life that you love, that you deeply love. Like he's your father, he's your provider, like he's there to keep you safe, he's there to teach you things, he's there to be like a guide, like he's there to be a spiritual guide for you, like whatever your father encompasses in a positive way. It's the first man in your life. And I think a lot of men don't speak on this, but I feel like it's normal to crush on your dad when you're a kid because you're just like, oh, my dad's so powerful. Like essentially your dad's Superman when you're like 7, 8, or 9, 10 years old, right? Like you look up to your father if you have a good relationship with him. Um, if not, well then you don't you don't really look at him this way. But if you grew up with a dad that you really loved and enjoyed and admired and respected, like I want to know if he was your first crush. I think that's a really interesting conversation that a lot of men don't talk about because I think people are afraid of being judged and shamed, and it's still considered a taboo, especially in the United States. But yeah, fascinating to me endlessly. Keanu Reeves, man. I swear to God, you guys have to go watch this movie, Speed. It's totally amazing. It's super cool. I think it's normal for like men to do that. I think, like, I think that has to be to me like the repeating pattern. Like, it's never. I don't know. Like I feel like it's so different with beaters. Like, it's never like sexual in a way that's animalistic or primal. Although we can achieve levels of horniness at that stage, but I think essentially innately, like beta men are curious about the brotherhood of being a male. Like we're turned on by its energies. And I think that's what a lot of straight men resonate with. And it's something that I learned to resonate with to myself. Like that was, and I grew up being a gay guy, so I was instantly attracted to men. Um, but the idea of being attracted to like a brotherhood of men, like the essence of being a man, like so I grew up with an absentee father, and I never got that. Like I just never had love for my father in that capacity. He was just always kind of there. So to me, I just find it I find it curious to know what that relationship like is for someone that really admires their father. Like when if you grew up like really loving your dad, and even now still today you have a really amazing relationship. I'd like to know like what that relationship has been and how that has affected your sexuality and your dating. Yeah, it's really cool to think about, right? I don't know. You're probably you guys are driving like a fucking 8 a.m. in the morning, and I'm talking about incest. Good morning. Good morning to you. Maybe this is a good time for a break, and we can listen to a really quick sponsor because I need to get paid and pay off these college loans. So we'll be right back after this. Okay, and we are back. Thank you so much for listening to that sponsorship. It really does help pay my student loans. It's not a lot of money, I'll tell you that right now. But it's nice. It's like, it's like, oh shit, like this is actually like a kind of a job that I can get paid for. So that's really cool. And um, I appreciate it very much. And thanks for coming back and sticking around. Uh, how's everyone doing baiting wise, or just life in general? Yeah, you guys are doing well. I hope that you guys are doing really well under the circumstances. I trust me, it's hard on myself. I think it's hard for everybody. Um, but another thing that I wanted to talk about was not don't be afraid to like reach out to your bros. Like, it, like it's difficult being a solo sexual because essentially you're solo. Like it's even in the name of the identity, like solo sexual. And a lot of the sex that you're doing is very solitary unless you have like an amazing group of like brothers that you can hook up with, and it's super chill. But most likely than not, you're jerking off alone. And I think it's really important for like brothers to kind of help and check in with each other. And I try to do that. And the reason why I talk about this because I had a brother reach out to me on social media and was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" The typical chit chat. But then, he started to become honest with me and said, "I'm actually, I'm not doing so well." And I thought, "Oh, wow, like, what's going on? Like, what's happening?" And he was like, "Oh, like, are you sure? Like, I don't want to bother you with my problems. Like, if you're busy." And I was like, "Bro, like, you're saying you're not okay is your way of reaching out to me. So I'm not gonna not listen to you. Like, I'm here. Like, I just." The whole reason why I'm out here exposing myself is honestly to make a connection and to make a change. And I'm not afraid to engage in these conversations. In fact, it really drives me to do what I'm doing now. We had a conversation and he was being affected by a lot of things. He's had to go to a really difficult transition due to COVID, and a lot of things has happened in his life, and there's a lot of changes, and there's a lot of work that's piling up on him, and he's stressed out, and he says he's put on weight, and I mean he looks amazing. But there's all these issues that are happening with him, and I found it really endearing that he would trust me with this information and like help him out. Um, in whatever way I can. Like I offered my advice. I was like, hey, like you should really, why don't you do this? Like, why don't you work on one thing at a time? Like compartmentalize what it is that you're feeling and what it is that you're dealing with, and like deal with them one at a time. Because you just gave me a summary of so much that's happening with you, and I feel like you're trying to, kind of work it out all at once, and it's never gonna happen that way. Um, so yeah, so being able to like just kind of help him, and then afterward like checking up on him too, like, hey, like did you have a good weekend, and like how have you been? And I think it's really important for us to like begin to have that dialogue with one another. Like that's always been my main goal, just to foster a better sense of community within Baders, because I think while baitworld.com, while the intention is to like, ultimately help you masturbate, for me, it's really, I've really transformed it into a tool of social gathering. Like I said before, like it took me about 3 years being on Bait World, kind of lurking around and kind of like dipping my toe in before I actually was like, you know what, fuck it, like I need to change something. This isn't working for me anymore. Like I need to really engage because I'm not finding my community in any other platform. So I said, I just, I was like, fuck it. Like, here's my picture. Here's what I'm about. Let me start a Twitter. Let me start an Instagram. Like, let me start these things so people know who I am and people can start to understand what I'm here to do, which is so important to me. And I've said it before on my social media. It's like, I might show off my dick and I might like be an exhibitionist, but like, I don't consider myself a porn star. I- I'm not a porn star. Like that's not what I got in the game to do. For me, I'm much more comfortable with the label positive sex influencer, or positive sex content creator, because that's what I do. I create sexy content in hopes that it makes a change. I try to influence my sex and our sex so it becomes a worthy conversation to a worthy topic of conversation. Um, and I aside from this one bro, I got hit up by another gentleman and was like, hey, like, where's my Twitter? I'm gonna try to reference this for you guys so I get it right. Um, I have another bro that reached out to me and was just like, hey, like, what did he say? He's like, oh, like, do you believe there's a difference between baiting and jerk off? Is like baiting more mindful masturbation? I asked because you seem to be making love to yourself, not just jerking off. And I love these questions. Like, this is like when I get shit like this, it turns me the fuck on. I'm just like, yes, like, you guys, you bros are paying attention. This is what I'm about. This is what I do. And I give him some feedback, and he was just like, um, um, and in his next message, it was just like, sorry to unload, but you are so wise about baiting. You're not just one of those guys on Twitter just showing off. I'm just looking for some guidance. Um, and that's he. I was just like so profoundly moved by that because that's essentially what I'm here to do. Um, and I think that I'm careful about pushing this beta agenda only because I know that we in our community we are surrounded by a lot of discreet baiters, be it that they're straight men and married or in relationships or engaged or have fiancés or girlfriends, what have you. Or you're just not willing to be an open exhibitionist about your bait, or you're not just willing to be open about your sexual identity. And I totally get it. Like I was like that for a really long time. Um, and then one day I was just thought, well, fuck it. Like I'm proud to be like solosexual, and the reason why I'm not conflicted about showing my sex is because I know that the end game for me is to provide guidance and acceptance, and knowledge about masturbation and share it with my brothers, and hope that they take this information and they make a change for themselves. That's always been and that always will be my end game. I might express it in cool, creative, edgy ways, but just know that at the end of the day, like that will always be my one and only mission to like make a change in our brotherhood, so we feel less alone. Um, so when you guys reach out to me and give me these really profound messages of inspiration and messages of hope, um, it's amazing. Like I love it so much, and I encourage you to keep doing that to me. Just reach out. You can find me anywhere. Like, what's social media like? we're there to be social. And like I know that it's become like a business and a lot of people use it for business to make money and such, but I mean, fundamentally, social media was created to reach out to each other. This is exactly like I feel like social media was created exactly for baiters. Like it's a tool that we can easily access to communicate to baiters all around the world. We have access to people that we might not have in our immediate environment. So use it, you know? Like, yeah, whatever. You want to watch me jerk off? Sure, knock yourself out. But, ultimately, um, what I think it's so important is to just, like, check up on each other. Like, we're literally brothers. Like, we're in the same game together. Like, we identify in the same sex. So it makes sense that we would just, like, take care of one another and really check up on our mental health. Like, I think also too, like I feel like men tend to not be vulnerable with one another in that capacity. Like I don't know, like I don't know a lot of men who are comfortable talking about like mental health issues, and I think that's changing, which is really great. Um, I think it's really important that we look out for one another and ask. It doesn't always have to be about sex either, and I think that's where a lot of people, a lot of guys get it confused. Like I'm not always like jerking off. Like, I've had plenty of brothers like be annoyed or upset with me because they're just like, oh, you're just a tease. Like you never want to show off to me, and I'm like, bro, it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I have a meeting at like, you know, 2:15. Like, what do you expect me to do? Drop pants? Like, that's not how that works. Like, if I have the time to show off and I'm capable and willing, then yeah, I will. But I have a life, and that doesn't stop me from engaging with my bait brothers. It really doesn't. Like when I reach out to someone, it doesn't always have to be about sex. I'm merely checking in on you guys. Like, hey, what's up? Like, haven't talked to you in like a couple of days. Like, is everything cool? Like, I'm genuinely interested. And I think it's really hard for me to communicate because I feel like my social media just kind of gets lost in like the feed of like Twitter porn, which is cool. Like, you know, I'm happy to like get people off. I think that's exciting, but I don't know. Like I have this platform. Like my podcast is like mine. Like no one else is touching this. So, like here is my one and true space in which I can fully vocalize my thoughts and opinions and feelings about masturbation and soul sexuality. Because I feel like Twitter, I don't know, like I'm show off on Twitter. Like it's fun for me. Like it's like I use it as like I use it like as a mini release. But I think here on the blog, like, or not the blog, the podcast, it's a really you can get a real true sense of like um, my ideas and like my feedback and how passionate I am about masturbation, how it's really changed my life. Um, it really has. I feel like one of these days I might save it for another podcast. But one of these podcasts, I really want to get into like my background story, like how I grew up and like what my sex life was like before solo sex and what it's how I discovered solo sex and what it's done for me and how it's really changed and enhanced my life. I don't know. I might say that for season 2. Oh, da, da, da. There's your shocker in this episode. There will be a season 2. In fact, I probably should let you guys know this now. I am probably going to go on a short break soon. I believe this is the 9th episode. So when I started this podcast, I really didn't know what it would be, and I really didn't know if it would be successful or not. And somehow, in the course of the last couple of episodes, you guys have really shown so much love to this podcast, and it's been so inspiring to continue to have this conversation. And to be honest, God honest, like Bible, like I never thought I could be someone to inspire change. Like I really didn't. Like I just thought I was just some like Joe Schmo, like hustling, trying to pay my student loans, like, just trying to do me day by day, just fucking make it and survive, right? But like, having the courage to put myself out there in such a public space has really been a really profound experience for me. And I take it very seriously. So now I'm getting these messages from like all you baiters from all around the world and brothers like coming to me because you guys see me as like, I don't know, like an expert on the subject, and I'm not. I don't want to say that yet because I feel like I still have so much to learn. But yeah, like, I've lived a lot and I've experienced a lot in a short amount of time, and I just feel like I had so much to offer that I was like, you know what, let me just start a podcast. Like, I think it'd be really fun to do. Maybe a couple of brothers will listen to it and like gain some knowledge, and that'll be enough for me. But the response that I've been getting has been truly overwhelming. And so yeah, so it's only inspiring me to like do other things. So now I'm writing articles for the Bader blog, and you know, I don't know what the next endeavor will be, but I'm having such a good time doing it. So yeah, so there will be a season two. And the reason why I'm going to take a break, it'll probably happen. I'll record another episode, which would be like the final, like the season finale, which would be season 10. And then during that break, what I really want to do is brainstorm really cool ideas for season two. Like, I want to talk to other baiters. I want to talk more about I want to have like bait tutorials, like baiter 101, like how to really have a really good bait. Actually, I might do that for the next episode for the season finale. But yeah, I want to talk to different baiters. I want to talk to baiters of color. I want to talk to like trans baiters. I want to like really explore like these new avenues of baitership or solo sex baitership. Is that like a thing? Maybe it could be a thing. I don't know if it's a thing or not, but it sounded good when I said it. But yeah, like different avenues of like solo sex that people haven't really tapped into. Um, but yeah, that'll happen. Um, yeah, good talk. I really enjoyed that. I'm having fun doing all this stuff for you guys. It's really cool. I'm looking at my artwork on the wall, and it's such baiter artwork. I have this piece by the Mexican queer artist Felix de Leon. Oh shit! You guys just heard my. Did you guys just hear that? Oh shit! My Bait World chat's going off. Someone just like chatted me up on Bait World. Let's see what this is. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember this guy. That's funny. I totally forgot I had my Bait World page up while I was talking to you guys. I usually have it up and like check on stuff for you guys. That's funny. Cool. All right. Well, maybe I should end it there and answer this gentleman's message here. So, yeah, you guys know where to find me. I am on social media. You know all my channels. Just look up Beastly Vader. You will find me. And I encourage you to check up on me. I'm not always having cool days. Sometimes I have my off days and days where I'm not feeling so great. And it's always nice to get a message and ask how someone's doing. In fact, I think it's really adorable when you guys do that. You know what's actually more equally adorable? Um, is when, I mean, I might have said this before. Oh, shout out to who is that guy? He's so great. Okay, you guys, shout out to Pumping Pleasure on Twitter. I forgot what his well, you guys can find him on Twitter, and then maybe he'll give you his Snapchat handle. But yeah, like shout out to him for sending me like snaps of him masturbating while he's listening to my podcast. That's a true that's a true brother there. Listening to my stuff while he jerks his dong. How amazing is that? That's pretty profound. Yeah, go follow him on Twitter and show him some love. Again, he's at Pumping Pleasure. He's on the West Coast somewhere. He's a bait bud. He's into edging long strokes with nice dicks. Oh, and feet. Well, there you go. What more do you need? All right, it's time to wrap this up. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you really enjoyed that convo. I enjoyed making it. Yeah, and I will see you guys next week for the next episode of the Bate Escape. Later.